Okay, let's start. If he joins, then we can do the update later. Hello to the TOC meeting, 16th of July. So we have our usual agenda with a planned update from the CF on Kubernetes working group. I don't see Georgi in the call. If he joins, we will have the update then later at some point. But we'll go over the agenda, and if Georgi joins, we can then start and do the update. So actions from last week. We had one action item to create a poll for the vacation time. And I saw that there is something. Amelia, thank you. So it looks like we can cancel already August 13 and August 20.
And July 30th.
Oh, and July 30, yes. Who is taking vacation? No, July 30? Oh, yeah.
You are also on vacation, Beyhan.
No, I put on the wrong side, sorry. Somehow I was going top down, but still, yeah, we have to cancel also July 30.
Yeah, because I went first. So if I'm there or not is the emoji that's first.
Yeah. Good catch here. Yeah. So is this something, Aram, you can do? Or Chris?
Yes. July 30th, August 13th, August 20th, remove those from the calendar.
Yes, yeah.
Will do.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, then we can proceed with the update most probably. Danail, are you representing Georgi?
Yes,
Hi.
Georgi is not able to join today, so I'm substituting for him. Yeah, I can give you an update on Korifi. How do you do this? Shall I just share my screen or whatever?
Yes, if you have something to share, I will just stop sharing and you can share. Yeah, thanks for joining. Then you can proceed with the update.
Okay. Hopefully you can see my screen. Hopefully that's the correct one.
We see the invitation.
Okay, so that's not the correct one. Okay. How about now?
Yeah, we see. That's right.
So the last update has been prior we released our latest release. So with this update, I'm going to give you what's new with the last Korifi release. This is 0.12.0. Some more CF API endpoints are supported. We have an improvement over user-provided services credentials. Now users can specify complex credentials objects instead of just plain maps of strings. We also support 2 more environment variables that are standard to CF memory limit and CF instance ports. And the nice thing about this release is that we've had quite a lot of external contributions, which was quite cool. Felt like a real open source project. As per what's coming next, we've actually started working on experimental managed services support. For the first release, it's going to be hidden behind an experimental flag, meaning that users have to enable that support intentionally. We also want to make this feature experimental in order to be able to free to implement backwards incompatible fixes if they're needed. Looking further in the future, we still have the topic of some sort of UA compatibility UA compatibility mode where we can consume users from UA. And we also have the improvements in the CF roles support on the table. Not sure when that would happen. So that's really it. I've been told that one of the questions that we've been asked is how the community can help. Shall we discuss it now or later?
Yeah, if you usually we ask how TUC can help, but yeah, if somehow we can help.
Yeah, so in the last Korifi community meeting, there is a company that is willing to start using Korifi productively, but they wanted to have some GA level of Korifi. I'm not sure how that works with the community so far. So if there are any good practices, for example, is it just making a 1.0 release? Is there a formal checklist that we need to go through? One of the guys was asking whether we are ready to provide commercial support to the product, whatever that means. So yeah, any input how we can tackle this question?
Commercial support is not offered by the foundation, right? So that would be up to one of the vendors to pick that up if they want to offer support. Also with like checklists for calling something GA, I think that will also be more of a vendor type thing, right? If a vendor wants to offer this as a GA product to customers, then they typically have a list for such a thing. But that no such thing exists for open source.
That was also my my understanding, but those guys, they're former users for CF4K, which was the previous attempt of implementing CF API on Kubernetes, and they said that they started using CF4K once it became GA. I don't know what CF4K GA means, but they kind of expect something similar. And this GA stamp for them sounds like they want to have a commitment that this project is going to continue existing, similar to what we had with CF4K. But yeah, apparently my understanding is correct. Maybe we should just go for 1.0. Whatever.
Yeah, like that's the thing, the signal you can give from an open source project perspective, right? Like calling something a 1.0, and then you can maybe think about your strategies around breaking changes, right? I think it's mostly around that from an open source perspective.
Okay.
Also think about documentation, what kind of documentation you want to offer and what not. And maybe also what would help is a certain, let's say, documentation about the relation to the other CF, because the API looks the same, but it is definitely not the same, right? It's not complete. It's not just to say a few words about it to prevent wrong expectations. And I would recommend this company to engage in this project if they want to see it surviving. I mean, that's the idea in open source, right?
I see. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I remember also Giuseppe was collecting input or feedback or a list of features which should be available with the 1.0 release. I don't know whether maybe you have some documenting old documents.
Yeah, that's also an interesting question, because if you ask different people what should 1.0 include, you would probably get different answers.
Yeah.
I guess it is up to the working group to decide what 1.0 is.
Yeah, definitely what has been discussed now. The features you want to have and the stability of the APIs are the points you should think towards when going in that direction. Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Not from my side.
And to have the, maybe one question, to have the managed services feature optional, do you have already a way in Korifi to have something like feature enable better features?
It is the feature overall is currently being developed, but once we have our next release, Korifi Helm chart is going to have an experimental value that's by default is false, meaning that the support is disabled.
Mm-hmm.
You intentionally have to enable it once you deploy the Helm chart.
Okay, yeah, I see. Will be also interesting maybe to have some kind of executing the Cloud Foundry acceptance test against Korifi somewhere in the community so that people can see the...
Yeah, we've been thinking about this. We have some ideas, but we really have not been up to that yet. Maybe that's a good candidate for 1.0 though.
Yeah, yeah, could
Yeah,
be.
can think about it.
Okay, and if there are no other questions, thank you, Danail, for the update. And we can continue with the next agenda point, reviewing our PRs. Oh, we have pretty empty dashboard here. We have only
It's
one.
time. It's finally time.
Now it's time to merge this. We waited for 2 weeks. So if everyone is okay with that. There's the fastest internet. Let's see. Do you need more time, Chris, or I can proceed? Or is already? Okay, thank you.
Yep. Technical difficulties, keyboard stopped working for a minute.
Fine, then, okay, this is done. On the RFC side, we don't have any new, only the one about CV numbering authority. On the issue side, we have a new issue, but this is nothing we should look into. Just for your information, there has been created an issue about the handling of Go in the application runtime platform working group.
Yeah, multiple groups in my working group have been working on areas around removing and replace directives, trying to keep our dependencies up to date. And we wanted one place to track it and decided this was a good spot for it. But didn't want to make it an RFC, not forcing everyone to do it. So this is what we landed on.
I don't know, I can put in the label on it. Sometime. Okay, this is all about our dashboard and PR issues. Any other business? We have one top. The first one is about the outage we had, or downtime we had with the build packs and the docs. Yeah. So the idea was whether we should somehow distribute the knowledge here, how things are set up, configured, and the setup is, and so that people maybe from some working groups or in the TOC can then help when, let's say, the working time is not the best one for US.
Does anyone know what happened? I just know other people took care of it, and so I was not paying close attention.
I have not seen an root cause analysis thing, but I believe that it had to do with an CDN migration that was in flight, and then like they were trying to move this to the foundation, but then somehow the other CDN that was still in the mix got shut down. The account got terminated, and that caused everything to be in a weird state. I mean, the underlying S3 bucket was available all the time, and people with offline build packs were also not affected. That's my understanding, but maybe Stephan has more details he wants to share.
Yeah, so Broadcom was using Akamai, and that service entirely, I guess, was taken offline by somebody. I have no idea who. But that affected not only build packs, it also ended. Oop. Why did that just change my microphone? There we go. Can you still hear me?
You're
Yeah.
back.
Oh, okay. That was weird. So I think it affected docs and API docs because I think they were both still pointed to Akamai. A lot of other things had already been migrated. So I don't know why that happened. I don't know how that happened. All I know is Chris has asked me to help in and create a Cloudflare account and move this stuff and all that. We ended up having to just create a load balancer in GCP, and we just did it in GCP because we had the account set up already to rewrite the hostname headers for the bucket and got everything back online.
So it sounds like human error. The account was deleted.
I don't work
Before
for
it should have been.
Broadcom. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, all I know is Ruben pinged me in the morning and was like, we have a problem. So
Get it up
I
now.
think you were the first one that noticed, right?
And I think I got pinged in my morning by someone from NE9s. So
Yeah.
and then there was a whole thread with people frantically trying to, I don't know what started happening. Yeah, people started handing out or sharing offline build pack copies. So that was a nice thing happening to get people online again. But yeah, I think the big takeaway here is that like this is basically a single point of failure for people that are using online build packs, right? So ideally people should be using offline build packs when running open source.
And I believe now David Stevenson has, or somebody on his team or whatever, has copied the bucket to a CFF owned bucket. They're doing some final testing, and then whenever he says go, we'll make any changes that they require in DNS, although actually I don't think there's any changes on our side, but we'll just keep things running the way they are for now. And then it's up to Chris, if we want to do something else.
Yeah, and that should get rid of the dependency on the load balancer, right?
No. Well,
Oh.
actually,
Oh.
yes, I think it will, because
That was
I
the
believe they
plan.
named the bucket buildpacks.cloudfoundry.org. So I think that means we don't need to rewrite the host name anymore, but again, we'll just have to test it.
But I think the question here is whether something like this will be owned by the TOC, or who is responsible when it doesn't work.
I mean, that brings up an interesting question, right? Like, are we as a foundation offering an SLA on like a community-owned resource? And I think we shouldn't, right? Because then you're also gonna get on call, or expectations around people being on call and stuff like that. I mean, this is foundation should be offering this like at a it's a best effort, right, basis, right? And that's all you can do as a foundation. And that's not great, but I think that's the reality.
I did talk to Chris about, we can do things like rate limiting and all of that for whatever the foundation keeps out there. But obviously you want people using offline build packs. It'd be nice if they're not using offline build packs, that they run their own kind of build packs cache, so they don't rely on this. But ultimately it's up to the foundation. Chris asked for help and I helped. That's it. So it's up to you all.
Yeah, and we can escalate this to the governing board too if we need to, but I think generally this kind of falls to the TOC level. What kind of support do we want here for open source users? To what extent we want to be able to, guarantee uptime for those things. I don't foresee this problem happening. This happened right because someone turned off something too soon. So, I don't really foresee this being a recurring issue. But at the same time, I'm not quite sure what the expense is going to be right now for the CFF to keep build packs up like that. So that'll, once we have a better sense of that, that will be a part of the conversation perhaps. But yeah, who should have access to these resources, and what do we want to offer going forward, I guess.
Yeah, and Chris, you're gonna have to decide, is the foundation going to get their own Cloudflare instance or what? We're still waiting to hear back from Fastly on their open source program. But right now it's running in my company's Cloudflare account. So we just moved one problem to another problem. But it's up to you all, what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, is this something we need to form a working group around, or like, are these resources equally important to Broadcom as they are SAP, as they are to open source users? Yeah, I don't know.
I think at least Broadcom customers are using mostly offline build packs because that's what we're shipping. And I thought that SAP was doing the same, but I don't know for sure.
But I know that people are using online build packs as well. It depends. We mostly offline build packs, that's true. And we provide offline build packs, but they are also using online build packs. And I know that many users rely on the documentation.
Yes.
That is available, but maybe
the process
we could
of creating. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, maybe we could assign, let's say, the documentation to the documentation working group, the build pack to the application runtime interfaces working group, and documents that we offer only best effort availability, and that's it. So I also agree that we should not offer SLAs or something like that. Or if we offer SLAs, then we offer such SLAs that everybody frowns about it and asks or thinks about it too, if that's good enough. So 10% availability over the year, something like that, which is ridiculously low. So I would say best effort is the right term for that. because
Does the
it's not-
process of creating an online build or offline build pack use that URL as well?
there is
That would be-
documentation available how to create an offline build pack, but it's work, and there are also downsides because offline build packs are not properly versioned, at least in all foundations that I know of. You get then suddenly build pack updates under the hood for good, but also for bad. Personally, I don't like offline build packs below my application. I like online build pack, and I like to control the build pack versions that I'm using, similar as any other dependency. Yeah, if my business would depend on it, I would consider to have my own build pack cache. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think it makes sense to definitely somehow the docs belong somehow to the docs working group and build packs to the build packs SAP area. Should we start a discussion in that direction?
Yeah, it would be good if the teams that own those resources actually can manage them, because I don't think that's currently the case.
So I know at least that for build packs, there were some activities. Greg asked to get an AWS or access to the existing AWS account, but I don't know the outcome. There's no documentation about it, and if it belongs to a working group, then I think the setup should also be described somehow and shared across the working group so that more than one person can repair it if there are issues, or at least we know how it is set up.
Maybe, I'm thinking about what should be the next step. So somehow start a discussion with the working group sub area approvers, whether they see this, want to take this responsibility or not.
Could open one issue to discuss the responsibility of these two URLs, and then maybe we get consensus on this issue. And from there, the working groups could take over. Maybe that works.
Yeah, it would at least be good from a TOC point of view to track the changes that are being made, right? So that we make sure that they finish the work and that
I have to mute.
context has been migrated.
Is someone willing to take this?
I can pick Greg to at least create one for the build packs.
I mean, we will have two separate issues for one.
Yes, yeah. So I think it makes sense to have Greg and Anita create those issues.
I can ping Anita. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me do something. Okay. The next. So the next one is one discussion which was happening in our working group. So someone opened an issue that the white stem cell is not available anymore in China. And the reason is that from Broadcom side, there is no account anymore available, which is required to publish that stem cell in the white stem cell in the China region. So that was sponsored by Broadcom in the past. And the question is whether we can get an account from the CFF so that the stem cell can be published in the China region.
And I think the underlying problem is that you need to have a business license or something in China to be able to get such an account. And I think in the past that was done through an intermediate, but we don't have those relationships anymore on the Broadcom. I vaguely remember that this was looked at before. Chris, do you remember?
I recall vaguely being pinged about this, but I haven't made progress on this. The like the LF does have a China team in partner in China for setting up various things like this. So I think it is possible. It's just, is this something we want the CFF to do? I have no idea what the costs are here or how involved this is. I do know that often getting business licenses and things like that in China is complicated, but I'm not quite sure about this in particular case.
I saw somewhere costs around 100 per month.
Okay. That's certainly doable. Yeah, I mean, I can reach out to the LF on this and see what we can do. I guess where this is this just in is this just in Slack threads, or is there a document or something else I can refer to on this?
Well, there's a discussion around this. Oh, sorry, Chris. Was this a question?
Yeah, I'm not sure where. Is this just in the like a Slack thread, or is there like a
Yes, there is a Slack thread in the TOC channel.
Got it.
Also, Ruben added some details about what is required to have an account in China.
I Googled and posted some links.
Yeah.
I did deep research.
Okay, cool. Let's discuss this financially. Okay. Yeah, well, why don't I move on this, and I'll Ruben, I'll reach out to you and hand on this, but I'll see if the LF can help with this in some way.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Right. The next one is I saw last week the CNCF and Linux Foundation report about the activities in the Linux Foundation projects, and it was for me interesting to see that Cloud Foundry scores quite well regarding activities, commits, and PRs.
Surprisingly well, yes.
Yeah. I don't
Thank
know.
you, Dependabot.
Yeah, I hope everyone has such automations, all the projects. It is not there if you look into the report from last year.
I just reverted some reverted reverts. So I've really been adding commits to this number.
I don't know. You don't see here Cloud Foundry in 2023. But now it's prominently on the on a prominent place. Yeah.
And I have it, assuming this comes out of insights, I have been keeping up on marking bots as bots. So I don't think this is guess there shouldn't be tons of bots counted here, but
Are they using LFX stuff for that?
yes.
I don't know what they're using to scrape this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they keep releasing new versions, and it's kind of hard to keep up with where things are at right now. But right now, I mean, it's all public on, let's see. There we
No,
go.
but I mean the data that they use, because this is not only LFX, right? So, or the DLF, this is CNCF and LF. So I think they are using their own data collection tool.
Oh, if yeah, right. If they have dev stats or something, if the CNCF is using something different, then it may not be accounting for bots at all, in which case, yeah, we've got a ton of bot activity. So that seems likely in this case. Like these are CNCF numbers that aren't really like, if that's the case, then it's hard for me to say if they're using a different methodology. But
Well, we're out botting everyone else.
On the other hand, bots are, I mean, it is
Yeah.
stuff happening, right? And
It
we
is-
are
it is
bumping
work,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it is being
exactly.
tested. So, I mean,
right.
you cannot totally disregard that. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
if you're saying we have a lot of new contributors, that's a different story. But like there is activity, and activity is being tested and released. So
Yeah. We do have new contributors, but not at that kind of scale, I don't think.
Yeah, it was just interesting.
Yeah.
To mention. And the next one is about vacation time. We already talked about this.
Yeah, I already did that too. You should have all gotten updated invites.
Thanks.
Sure.
Is there anything else you want to discuss?
I just shared the link of the project that they're using, or the tool that they're using for that data collection.
Mm-hmm. We have to check more details if someone is interested. Oh, yeah. Okay. If there is-
Wait, go back to that. The Linux Foundation had a round, or the Linux project had a round number. They had exactly 130,000 PRs and issues.
That's-
Seems suspicious.
Yeah.
Well, Istio has 8,002, which is a nice round number.
Yeah.
8,000.
Maybe they have some rate limits on the No.
Okay, I'll accept that probably Linux is bigger than us.
A bit.
But the issues and the PRs, that's also quite a lot still for us. It's for a whole year?
13,000, that is a lot of PRs and issues, but
Is this accumulated through the years or yeah, it's
it looks like it's just July through July.
I could see it. Well,
inactive.
great job,
use
everyone.
Automation contributed a little bit. Yeah.
We need
Okay.
to, for the next quarter, crank up the frequency on all those auto bumps.
I can report inactive user by user.
Yes, do it.
By the way, if you're speaking of Dependabot, I don't know whether you're aware of this Dependabot feature, but we just found it like a couple of days ago. Dependabot can group PRs. For example, it doesn't open a PR for each and every dependency bump. It just groups them. If you run your job daily, it's going to group all the bumps into a single PR. Thus, we reduce the number of PRs coming with Dependabot. We have occasions where we had like 7 or 8 Dependabot bumps overnight, which was quite annoying.
Thanks.
So-
Seems useful.
That might reduce the number of peers.
Yeah, it's not good for our stats. But yes, it will make it more useful, usable.
Maybe that's why we are not quite on the diagonal here. We have more commits than PRs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then we are done for today. Thank you all. Have a nice day, evening, and see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Folks.
Right.